you for tuning in to another episode of How to Be Better Friends. So, my name is Olivia, and this is
And Delisa. That was not meant to go like that. I was prepared for
well, when you're friends, you got to keep it rolling. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. All right. Yes. Okay. Yes. And I'm Delisa. Hi. In are we going straight to the source, or we want to backtrack?
Yeah, let's get a little saucy with it.
Let's get saucy. Okay, Olivia, what's going on? What's the sauce of the week for you? What's going on?
Oh, the sauce of the week is learning how to be friends and not to be friends from my nieces. And but they're fun. I was telling someone earlier today, like this is the most that I've been around them, and this last month, this is the most I've seen them and interacted with them in the last like 5 years. So because I've been in China for 6 years, and whenever I was home, I was only home for like a week or two, and maybe I saw them for a day and a piece of a day at that. So this is the first time that I've been able to really get to know them, and they're a lot in a really fun way, in a beautiful way, because it's like seeing them have their own personalities and growing up, but it's also like, whoo child, auntie duties are fun because parent duties are 24/7.
Fun times. Looking forward to it.
So, but yeah, so that's my sauce is just, being in the know with my nieces and really building relationships with them so that they see me not just as like this pixelated lady who's now in person, but someone they can actually talk to and trust and lean on. Yeah, that's my sauce.
Oh, that's fun. I'm happy for you. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best circumstances, but we take from it what we can, and yeah, you're growing and you're getting to spend time with family. Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of jealous.
Only kind of. Wow, I'm surprised. That is growth. That's growth. I know that I only get away with this. No, I know I only get away with this because I'm talking about, I'm having fun with my nieces. If I said, I met some new people out here and we've been hanging out and I've been learning about them, you'd be like, oh, okay.
I'm happy for you. That's all I would say.
So what's your sauce?
And that's when lying is okay.
Are you trying to jump into the next thing real quick? But first, what is your sauce? We got your sass, so what's your sauce?
I don't have any sauce this week. I don't even know. Like, I've just been so busy this week. And
not being off of work for a whole week, that's not saucy.
Okay, fine. I've been off work for the week and it's been good-ish. I've actually been doing something every single day. And
I believe it.
while I'm grateful for it, it would have been nice to sleep a little bit more, but it is what it is. And gonna be doing some foot massages this afternoon, so looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, with the girls. Okay. I'm jealous.
GGI Beijing.
I am jealous. For those who don't know, which is probably most people, Delisa is an amazing community builder in Beijing. What's GGI?
Girl Gone International.
Ooh. What is? Okay, so that's the acronym.
If you want details, you can check it out on the website girlgoneinternational.com.
Okay, all right. I understand that tone of voice. That's full honest enough for me.
No, they're not paying for advertising here. Let's move on.
All right, GGI, hit us up next time and we'll tell everyone more about what you all do.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so in our last episode, we introduced our 5 keys to being better friends. And over the next few episodes, we are going to be breaking them down one by one and answering some of your questions and ours related to these 5 keys.
So today, we're going to kick it off with our first key, I don't know if it's the most important one. I was trying to think if it is, but it's definitely essential. And the first key, I like this little rhyme. The first key is honesty. Ah,
What
I
did
was
you
a
get your
freestyle
rhyming
champion.
on?
I'm a
Oh, we should have
poet
put
and I
some
know it.
claps in there.
I am not inserting claps.
Should get some audience.
All
And the
right.
crowd
So
goes wild. Okay.
honesty. The definition of honesty by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary is adherence to the facts, sincerity, fairness, and straightforwardness of conduct. Okay. So, I mean, I know most of those words. Sincerity definitely sticks out to me, and I think we could go into that. But I had a question before we go into what it is. What is honesty not? Because I feel like we use it wrong, and people are like, "Well, I'm just being honest," and yes, with the head, the neck movements, and everything. And
Is that how you've used it in the past? Tell the truth.
I mean, I'm continuing to grow. The Lord is working on me. I am a work in progress, so quite possibly. But
Quite
what do you
possibly.
say? What is honesty not?
Mm, honesty is not seeking to be hurtful. Honesty is not trying to inflict pain on someone else or cause harm to someone else. It's oh gosh, the word sincere just keeps coming up, and I'm like, I want to
Yeah,
stay away from that. But it's what it's not. It's not being sincere, not being insincere.
insincere. Oh gosh.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Um, but it's being mindful.
Mm,
It's yeah, and considerate. So it's not being inconsiderate. Um, I think that's the most important part. And when I say considerate, I mean consider the situation you're in, the context you're in, the person you're dealing with.
mm,
Um, you know, your feelings at the time. Um,
mm,
you know, I think honesty would definitely be
mm.
mindful of all those factors before it approaches.
I like that. I like that, especially when you said like being
Yeah.
mindful of like where you are, because you could say that you're being honest, but if you're speaking from anger or like you're reacting from a place of anger, hurt, like disappointment, strong disappointment, like then what you say is going to be different than if you're saying it from a place of peace, a place of joy, a place of like, truly letting go. It is what it is. And so those are going to be, they could all be something that you're like, this is honest, but they're going to come out differently. So knowing that, like, how you're saying it and why you're saying it, I think that's really important. Yeah. I mean, I agree with
And
everything
how
you
it's
said.
received as well.
I mean, well, we all know you can never really control how someone receives something, but I think we can be a better stewards of how we say it. And like you said, being more mindful. I think
Yeah.
honesty in a good, healthy, growing friendship definitely has to come with mindfulness. It's
Yeah.
just saying everything, like just saying it because it's honest and truthful, but you're not being mindful of who you're saying it to, how you're saying it. That's how you get bit by honesty. And you're like, I don't know why they're upset. I was just being honest. And you can mean that very
Mm.
sincerely, but if your friend, like, okay, I can say, so a time that I've been bitten by honesty was like, it's a very simple thing, but I grew up in a household that if something didn't fit, I was told lovingly, oh, that looks tight. Like, are you sure you want to wear that? So I had a friend in college, and we were all getting ready to go out for Halloween, and we are all putting on our random outfits because we weren't like the let's order 4 weeks in advance and do a group thing. I was more of the let's go to CVS and see what I can get the day
Is
before.
that the
But
pharmacy?
yes, Yes, for
Okay,
the non-Americans. Yeah, CVS is a like a
just checking.
drugstore, corner store, pharmacy situation, and you can just go and
Mm.
get a bunch of hodgepodge of stuff, especially holiday decorations. And I remember we were getting ready at someone's house for Halloween, and I saw the outfit, and I was like, "Looks a little tight." And so I said, like, "Are you sure you want to wear that? It looks tight." Well, by the way that the air got sucked out of the room, even though I thought I was being a helpful, honest friend, I clearly wasn't mindful about who I was talking to and how it could be received. Because there's no point in being honest if it's not going to be well received or received. If you, especially if you have it with good intentions, don't sip your tea on me. So,
You cut
um,
out there, especially what?
oh, there's no point in being honest if you're not doing it from like an actual genuine place with sincerity, and you want it to actually be heard, but you're saying it in a way that won't be received. But I just remember saying that, and I came from a family where like we told each other those kind of things, and I was like, "Oh, this is a friend," and like, you know, I want her to look good. It's looking a little tight, and like, you're like, when you pull it down like the third time, like, yeah. But it wasn't very well received, and I think I messed up the rest of the night a little bit because of that. And like looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, there's ways to be honest that are better than others.
But okay,
No.
let's break that one down a bit because is there any better way of saying it looks a little tight? Like, I mean, I think that one's on your friend because home boy or girl, I'm gonna say that, was clearly a little bit insecure about what was going on, and you saying it seems a little tight, being honest about how it looked on them just triggered something they knew. And I think, yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like you can be mindful as much as you want, but if that person has insecurities about certain things and you tell them the truth about it, it don't matter how you say it nicely. If they are troubled and stressed or whatever else is going on internally because of whatever they got going on, I'm sorry, it's never going to be received positively.
Okay,
So,
before
what
you
would have been a nice
deconstruct,
way to say you don't look good?
well, before you deconstruct this person, on the off chance that they do listen to this and they remember, in their defense, I knew I was taking a risk by saying it because like other friends had been like, "Oh yeah, no, like it looks good, it looks okay," like, and I think I always remember one thing my dad taught me, and he would say, like, if my breath stank or something, he'd be like, "Look, I'm telling you, because when you get out in the world, a lot of people won't tell you, and they'll let you go around like with your hair sticking out or your breath smelling bad or toilet paper on your shoe, and so like we gonna tell you."
That's true.
And so I kind of took that as a marker of like, this is me showing that I care about you, that I'm like intentionally trying to be loving towards you. But I knew I was taking a risk by telling this particular person that particular night. And so, and listen, I'm not going to scapegoat, what is this, 19-year-old me? 19-year-old me is not anywhere near as, I was always self aware,
Refined.
but refined. 19-year-old me pissed off a lot of people, being honest. So, but yet when 19-year-old me got the same honesty back, wasn't too happy with it. So
Oh,
I
oh.
appreciate you defending my action. Boy, yeah,
I'm
I
not.
know.
I'm not
Oh,
defending your actions. I'm
are
just
you?
saying that.
You're just saying toughen up.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's only so much, so prepared you can be, so
Well, that's
mindful that you
true.
can be. I feel like if, I mean, it's also that person who's receiving it, and if
Yeah.
they've got insecurities, and they don't know how to deal with it, then is it on you though? You know, like, can you say, okay, going
Mm.
forward, I shouldn't be honest in the future, because you might meet somebody else who is actually secure in themselves and who want that honesty, who want
Oh
you to
yeah,
be
we're very
brutally
honest with each
honest and
other.
open. So like, yeah, so it's like, and I'll be like, because I will cuss you off if I leave the house and I'm not looking right. And you didn't say
Uh,
it.
the last time we saw each other in person, you cussed us all out because we didn't see something that you saw, and we thought you looked okay, and you're like, "Why did nobody tell me?" So yes,
These
I know
pictures
you would.
aren't going public.
Yes, and I mean that's true. But I think there was something that when you said that actually, I think then are there levels to honesty, like based on the quality and the depth of the friendship, are there then levels to the honesty? Like a friend that I just met who I don't know how they're going to react to something, and we're still building that foundation of I respect you, I care about you, and what I'm saying to you is coming from a loving place, and you know that. We're still
Mm,
building that. If I say, you know, hey, your breath is a little, you want a mint?
okay.
Like, you know, somebody might be like, I don't know. I don't talk to them. They don't know how to approach me. But if it's you and you come up to me like, ooh, Olivia, what'd you eat today? Onions? Go brush your teeth. Like, you would say that, but we have an understanding of love and respect and care that allows us to speak very frankly to each other and it not be taken a certain way. So, are there levels to how honest you are, or is it just the delivery, the bluntness? But you're always honest, but like how you present it doesn't have to be as dipped in sugar, coated in honey. Hmm.
That is such a difficult and wide and broad question. Like, the devil in me wants to say, be honest all times. However, however, if you
Where's
want
my where's
friends,
my water?
uh, as she sips. No, but on a real level, no, there are. I think I agree with you. I think there are levels, and I think it's mainly because there's so much movement between cultures and
Mm,
different people from so many parts of the world and their different thoughts, and there's all this talk about being politically correct, and like there's just so much
mm,
out there that inflicts fear on people actually about what they say and how they say it. um so there are layers, and we have to be cautious, unfortunately, because there are a lot of things that are out there that are contributing to how people perceive things. Um, so I think even if somebody wants to be honest, or someone else saying, I want to hear the truth, um, it's always safer to approach with caution,
mm,
because you just don't know. You just can never tell, um,
mm,
until you've actually had that sit down with someone where you're both back to sincerity. Um, you open up and you talk and you say, okay, this is my expectations of our friendship. This is the
mhm,
things I want. This is the things I respond to well. Um, and these are the things that I don't respond to well. I remember there was one time I think you were baking, and um,
mm,
we were talking, and there was something you were going through. I actually genuinely can't remember what it was, but this might trigger your thought. But you were just talking about what was going on, and I'm someone who likes to get to the solution. I'm like, have you tried this? Did you try doing this? Did you do this? And you're like, okay, so Delisa, I just want you to listen in this moment and not give any solutions to the problem. And then in that moment, I was like, number one, that made my life so much easier because I was stressing like, I need to fix this. How do I fix this problem?
And I was getting annoyed
How do
because I was
I
like,
help her?
and I'm getting annoyed because I'm like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just sharing with you. I'm trying to be that. I'm trying to open up and share my thoughts with you, not because I need you to finish them, but I don't normally share. But we said we were going to be open with each other and sharing, so that's what I'm trying to do. But I remember getting frustrated. I was like, stop. And I was like, let me just say this calmly so that this doesn't become a fight because of the way I said it. I was like, no, I don't need that.
And that was so good in that moment because like that relieved so much stress from me because I was like,
I
okay,
didn't know
she's
you were
got this.
stressing.
Like I
Like,
was
why is she
stressed.
hyping?
Because for me, I'm like solution. So okay, so how do we solve this? So, okay, so what do we do now? Okay, what's the next step in this situation? And you literally just wanted me to listen in that moment. And when you said that, I think that conversation went so much better after. Like it was so much better.
Usually, it doesn't always work for us because we are far from perfect as people and friends. But what sometimes will work for us is if we are getting annoyed with each other, like when one of us has enough wherewithal to be like, okay, what you're
Let's
saying right
really
now is
listen.
making me feel this way, and I don't want to feel this way. And so either you'll be like, talk to you later. And I don't always love that, but I'm learning to respect it. But you're like, I need to get off the phone. I'm like, or I'm like, hey, so when you say this, it makes me feel this way. And I don't think that's what you mean, but can we reframe? And so we've learned after a lot of friction, like, let's not let the people believe that we figured everything out and we're like, woohoo. We'll probably fight in a couple of weeks. Like, who knows? But like we figured out
You
at
didn't tell me
least
I sounded so bad. Okay.
we've at least learned to like say what it is so it doesn't become this bigger issue, and that works out for us. All right, we've talked about kind of honesty, what it is, what it isn't. But in your opinion, what does honesty look like in a good friendship, a healthy friendship?
I think that because we're all so different, there's no one answer. There's no one way that honesty will look in a friendship. So I think what's really important, depending on what kind of friends you want to be, especially if you want this person to be like your ride or die, I think at some point it's important to have that conversation about honesty and
Mm,
what it is that you need for communication from each other, um, how you like to be spoken to, um, when it's important to you for that person to just listen, you know, and not interrupt, not try to find solutions, and just hear you, or when you might actually need them to step in and say, okay, this is what I think you should do, um, or some people might prefer honesty in private. Some
mm,
people might prefer you to deal with it in the moment, regardless of who's around or how loud
mm-hmm.
it gets, and whatever. So I think for us, we did have this conversation. It
Mm,
wasn't at the beginning of our relationship, but I think it was after a while of, okay, we're getting to know each other a lot more, and certain things have happened, and we look back and it's like, well, maybe if we said this or dealt with it this way, it would have been resolved a little earlier. So I think we did touch on what we require from each other in terms of
yeah.
honesty. I think for me, I was definitely like, I don't care. I've lost friends in the past who just made decisions for me, and rather than
Mm,
tell me exactly what was on their mind or how they felt, they either made assumptions or decided for me that I didn't need to hear it or I didn't need to know. And that peed me off on so many occasions. And then when you're upset that you didn't know, they look at you like, but, anyways, whatever. I could rant about these for ages. But, I said to you, from what I remember, I prefer you to be brutally honest. Like, stay in the house. You don't look good. Go change that, or because I want to be at the place where I want to believe that whatever you're saying is actually genuinely coming from a sincere place and it's coming from a place of care and love. And, if you're going to be telling me something, it's for my own benefit, So,
Yeah.
but I've also had to learn to, over the years, be mindful because just because I want you to be brutally honest and straightforward and direct, people can't handle that. And yeah.
I'm rolling
A
my eyes
lot of
because you
people
said
can't handle
can't
that.
handle, and I'm like, okay. But yes.
Okay, they don't want it.
Yeah.
They don't
I
want
mean,
you to be
yeah.
direct. They don't want to
'Cause,
hear it.
yeah. I mean, even
Yeah.
I still like struggle being blunt with you. Not like, I mean, I'll tell you, but I think I've grown up being blunt, and I had like a sharp, like a smart mouth and like a sharp tongue. And so people call me mean so much that like I've overcorrected where I'm like, okay, let me make sure I'm saying it the right way because it is trying to come from a good place. But I got that kind of tongue that, or that tone of voice, this deep voice that like it cuts deeper than I mean it to. I remember like I had an ex and he's like, you just be dropping bombs. And I don't mean it. I don't mean it to come that way. It's just like I was being honest. I thought we were sharing. And so that's been kind of my background on that. But but I mean, I agree with the overarching thing that you're saying is first be honest. And you said this last week. First, be honest with yourself and your intentions, and like what you actually want, and then you can present that and talk with someone to figure out like, hey, what kind of friends are we gonna be? And I mean, you and I are kind of weird. We actually like did have like a real formal ish conversation about it, but we were also quarantining together for months. So like we were constantly talking. So having many opportunities, people who aren't like living together with their friends in a pandemic, like they might not say, hey, let's go to coffee and define our friendship. But so it's going to look different in different circumstances, but I do think
But actually, go on.
you
What you
think
do
people
think?
should DTR, like define the relationship.
Be intentional.
I mean, that's
You
intense.
know,
I still
make
remember
it
being like,
happen. I don't know.
girl, that's intense. I
But okay,
in
let's
all
do this then.
honesty, that's
Let's do
intense.
this. Okay.
What?
Why is it that we encourage people to do these things with their potential partners, their spouses, their so and so, the loves of their lives? But then when it comes to a friendship which you hold dear, and to be frank, if that spouse disappears, who you gonna call? Like, so that was in my head too. But yeah. Oh God. But like I feel like there's always so much emphasis on building a relationship with a partner, someone you're gonna marry or someone you're dating, but we forget that friends, your platonic friends, who will be there, quite frankly, to wipe your tears when that love of your life breaks your heart, or your kid messed up, or son, I don't know, like you lose money in the stock market. I don't know. But like we don't put a lot of emphasis on those friendships to work on them in that way. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Mm,
Growing up, you're always talking about, oh, the person you're gonna marry and what your wedding day is gonna look like, but there's very little. I don't know if this is for you, but like there's very little emphasis on the friends you're gonna find and the types of friends that you should look for, and this sort of thing, and building relationships with friends, because that actually in essence is practice for having a relationship with someone, like a romantic relationship with someone. Those things also contribute how
mm,
you deal with conflict with those people as well. So
yeah. Mm.
I think we can, and this will probably be a future episode when we talk about friendship counseling.
Something we've considered many times without actually doing. So maybe someone can give us a live friend therapy session.
We should have a live friend therapy
Maybe we
session.
can get
That would be
Esther
fun.
Perel to give us a live friend therapy session.
That would be nice.
I
Let's
would
do
think she
it.
has a new podcast about that. I mean, yeah, the intentionality of friendship. I mean, we'll definitely talk about this more in later episodes because it's something that has come up with us a lot. And it's something that you were talking about when you're like, well, Olivia has like her family and like she knows they love her. So forget the rest of y'all. And and then when I think as at a certain age, I did model off how to be a friend with others based on how my family was. And we are all very honest. Like earlier today, we were all joking on mom in a very loving way because we're a black family. So, it's still all very loving and respectful. But like, we're all
Has to
cracking
be.
jokes, and mom's like, aha, ha, ha, whatever. And then she like continues like making dinner or something. So like all those jokes. But when I was like got into the real world or the outside world and I made those same jokes or like said those same honest comments, whoo child, I was mean. I was like hurting people's feelings. And I didn't realize that. And it's taken me far too long, too many decades to finally catch up. But our friendship, um, in our ups and downs and our trying to be intentional has taught me how to shift my perspective and like think of things differently because we did have those honest conversations. So I agree. And when I was looking up like research for this episode, I came across this one as a tip about how to be a better friend, and it was like respecting boundaries. And the line about it that really got me was saying that honesty really only carries weight when it's voluntary. So we've been talking a lot about honesty when it's like telling someone something that's wrong, but there's also the honesty of like sharing what's going on in your life. And when you look sad in front of someone that you are calling a friend, and your friend's like, "What's wrong?" and you're like, "It's okay." That use There's two ways to think of it. Like there's the honesty of saying, "No, it's not okay," and let me share. But then also remembering as the person who does consider themselves to be a friend, they'll tell me when they're ready. And you've definitely taught me that. Like, like, and it's like, okay, this person has said to me that I'm their friend. This person has said to me that they love me, that they care for me, they trust me. So if they're not telling me something, I'm not going to take it as a personal affront and make it about me.
Mm,
Maybe there's something that we need to do, or maybe, they're still working on the being honest with themselves part. And so talking about it outside of themselves is not yet a thing. But um, it just reminded me of that honesty is best. It's only carries weight when it's voluntary. Because if I have to say, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" and like
mm,
say, "You know what? You don't want to tell me. I don't think we can be friends anymore because you don't share with me." Well, when you tell me, it's like a forced confession, not like that doesn't build intimacy. It's a forced confession. It builds like a hostage situation. It doesn't build like actual like friendship and like that deeper love and understanding because you're
yeah.
pulling it out of someone and someone feels like it was yanked out of them. And so that was the other part that I've had to learn because I will throughout this podcast say what I've not been good at, and I'm okay with it. But I've had to learn that like it really is more valuable when it's voluntary and when someone wants to share. And I think For me, I've had friends who have said they're not in a good place, and I've asked them, do they want to talk about it? And they've said no. And
Mm,
because I do value the voluntariness of that admission, I say, okay, well, if you want to talk, I'm here.
mm,
But then I've heard other folks say, well, no one reaches out, no one asks me. And it's like, well, when I ask you, you say you don't want to talk about it. And so I'm taking that as a boundary that you've put, and I'm going to respect it and not try to force. But somehow it gets thrown in my face that I didn't try to. So,
mm,
um, but I also think of times when if I do share, I think like I talk a lot, and people think I'm very extroverted. But I've been told also like you see me, but you don't fully know a whole lot, and so I take it very seriously when I do share with someone and when I am honest about how I'm feeling or how something makes me feel, even if it's not related to them. There's very few people I just tell everything to. And so I do think the voluntary nature of being honest with someone and sharing is not to be discounted. And it's risky as the person sharing, but it's how you build that intimacy that friendships need. And intimacy, I hope, through this podcast does not become only connected to sex, because intimacy is closeness with someone. It is how, like, emotional closeness. It's not only a physical thing. And so I'll stop there, but I just wanted to
mm.
add my little 2 cents about the other version of what being honest is in a friendship, the sharing aspect and receiving.
And good thing that you talked about that as well, because um, in Psychology Today, they actually had an article about being close friends and what it means to build honesty in a friendship. And it actually, that was one of the first things it talks about, where it says, challenge unhelpful thoughts. And one of the things it used as an example is saying, so many of us have firmly held beliefs that hold us back about from opening up. And example, it says, I don't want to be a burden. Um, or if we argue, it'll end our friendship. So that, like, what?
Me. Oh, goodness.
So I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes we jump to certain conclusions about if we are honest or if we say exactly how
Hmm.
we feel, it's going to have a negative effect. So we hold back. And we've touched on that a few times in our discussion. And then this point that you just made, really, that just reminded me of that. So, yeah, those thoughts are definitely something to be challenged. But
Yeah.
also, I think you have to be, it's a risk, isn't it?
Always. Girl,
I mean,
I cringe. I think for the first year of our friendship, I'm like, oh, we had a fight. I don't know if this is gonna work. I know she said she wants to be my friend, but we be fighting. And I don't know. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just not meant to be, and we're just forcing it constantly. But I think you were always more steady, and then I would bring up something, and I'd like, remember when? And you like, how do you remember that? I
what?
forgot. You'd be like, what? We had that argument? You're like, I meant it when I said, when I'm over it, I'm over it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not hurt by it, but
I'm like,
but,
okay,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna be a good friend and listen.
oh,
I
you've
mean,
listened to me plenty of times because I like to talk it all out. So I'm very honest with how I feel. Sometimes too much, and you're like, overload, overload. And I'm like,
um,
but
but
oh,
yeah,
I don't know. I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap it because I think we gave a lot of good tips about being honest. I think we do have one kind of question that we got from listening to other people and talking to other people. And guys, if you have a question for us, feel free to slide in our DMs on IG and or slide into our DMs on Twitter or add us on Twitter. And shoot us your questions about how to be a better friend, whether it's about honesty, any of the other 5 keys, or just any question that you have about how to be a better friend. So I think we have one question. that we are going to answer before we call it a day? Delisa, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm up for it, but which one? Because we have a few.
Okay.
Are we gonna look at dishonesty?
Yeah, I was looking at that one. All right. So the question is, wait, let me put in the drum roll. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna mark this. All right. So the question is, oh, it's not. Can you be a good friend and be dishonest? Some
Ooh.
people like to say is, well, when is lying like the better option? Can you lie and be a good friend? I have my gut answer, but I'll let you answer first.
Well, I have met people who are straight up liars, but their friends call them their best friends. So it's quite possible.
All right. Okay.
You know, I just based on that example, it is perfect. It's quite plausible. It's possible. You can lie and be a good friend.
See, if I'm gonna say no, because if you're lying, that means your words and your actions probably will also not match. Your words already don't match, so your words and actions probably won't match. So I won't find you reliable. And I don't really prescribe to horoscopes, but I'll go ahead and say I'm a Virgo, and we like things orderly, neatly, and to make sense. So if I gotta hear you and say make it make sense, like I knew someone and they were telling me how much they respected me and they would never do anything like to like downgrade me. But then I saw what they were saying like to other people and I'm like, well, make it make sense because the math isn't mathing and it's like it's being dishonest and like I said, I don't open up to everyone. I don't let everyone in and I'm very picky about who I call a friend. So if I'm calling you my friend, and you're lying and you're being dishonest, ooh, baby, I don't know if I can trust you. And I don't see how we can have a good friendship and be better friends if I can't trust you because you
Hmm.
lying.
Hmm. So, can
So
I be a devil's advocate?
always, that is like your middle name.
That's, that's, that's what
Cool
I
chat.
do.
Talk about that
So,
later.
but I'm asking for permission this time. So, I'm not going to blindside you and have you
Well,
be like, what?
since when? No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm used to it.
But how would you know if the person's lying if you just genuinely don't know? And if that person is really good at covering up and lying and pretending, but you just don't see it. And
I mean,
in your
everyone's
eyes,
fine with a
still
liar
be
until
the
they
best
find out.
friend. Fair enough. Um, fair point. What
So
if you never
Delisa,
find out?
okay. Well, then you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But
So
they got to be
in
damn
that,
good. I
in that
watched too much
essence,
NCIS.
so then with that said, you can actually be a good friend and be dishonest. Because if nobody knows you're dishonest, then you're a good friend as far as they're concerned.
So now this is making me question everything about our friendship. Like, I do know you well enough to know that you would be too tired to lie for so long. And at a certain point, you were like, look, I was lying. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. Unless you're lying about being tired all the time.
Like, my brain
Hmm.
hurts. I can't. Got too many things to
Okay,
do.
yes, but if you do it from your side, can someone believe? Okay, so I'm gonna reword yours. Can someone believe that they are a good friend while being dishonest? Yes, someone can believe that they are a good friend while being dishonest. Can someone be lied to and be deceived into thinking someone is a good friend. Yes. But are they actually? No.
No, of course not. No one who lies and is dishonest can be anything good. There's nothing good about them.
I was thinking that too. I was also thinking that. I was like, I don't know how you can be good if you always lying.
So
Yeah.
how
But you're
about
also
this?
not good to yourself either.
You're not. But how about this? How does somebody come back from being dishonest? Like, how does a relationship rebuild? Like, how do you, like, someone's betrayed you in whatever form, shape, or form you decide, whatever.
Mm.
How do you rebuild that and rebuild that trust and start again and be friends and close friends again?
Depends on if I can find peace about the betrayal and that there's enough of them that I got to know. Now, this is not if I find out that everything was a lie. This has to be like one act, like an act of lying, not like from start to finish, everything was a lie. Because I wouldn't know what to believe. But if it was truly, this is one act of a lie, if I've had enough of a full experience with this person to feel that I understand them, that I believe them, that on like an agape level, I love them, like love them with the love of Jesus, then, and I can find peace at some point and let go of the anger and the hurt towards what they did, I can probably still have them in my life to some extent. Now, trust, I might be able to let go of the lie, but trust, fully opening back up, that's going to take time and trial and error and consistency. I can't hold it over them because no one wants their mistake. If it's truly a mistake, no one wants their mistake held over them. But I mean, I'm not going to just be like, oh, he lied that one time, but she said she was at work. I know she told me later she was hanging out with Rebecca because she thought Rebecca was a better friend than I was. I was like, but I let it go because I haven't always been the best friend, and I didn't tell her that time that her shirt was too tight when we went out, and it kept rolling up. So
So does a lie cancel another lie?
it better no.
Oh my god! So forgiveness,
But
I guess.
okay, let me be let me pull myself back on track. But no, but truly, if it's a one-time thing and it's not like truly someone has deceived me from the beginning and I have no foundation of truth to believe on, unless like they did something truly, truly heinous and unforgivable, usually the love of Jesus will kick in for me and I'll try to extend that to someone else. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'll bring them back into my life at the same level that they were before. What about you?
There's a word that's always been coming up in the past maybe couple of years in my interactions, and that is responsibility. And I think if someone's able to truly take responsibility for what they did, and when I say take responsibility, it's like acknowledge exactly what they did. Don't make excuses for what you did. Don't say, I did it because, no, because when I'm on the listening side, I don't want to hear why. I want to know what you did. Yes, sometimes they want to know why. You do want to know why, but you don't want excuses. Like, it wasn't my fault. I had no choice is another one
well,
that
you shouldn't
pisses
have
me
looked at
off.
me sideways.
Right. And I hate when people always say, I had no choice. Like, you always have a choice. Even if you don't choose to do something, you did something. You chose not to do something. So you have a choice in whatever situation it is or was. So taking responsibility, I think, is a really big one. But when you take responsibility, it's like going forward. Okay, I've taken responsibility. I've acknowledged what I've done. I've apologized. Acknowledge how you feel, and so on and so on. But then I think it's really important to know what both parties want after that, because there's no point if I mess up trying to fix it if you don't truly want me to fix it, or you truly don't want a relationship going forward anymore. Or I might have done what I did because truthfully I'm over the friendship. Like, I'm done, and you know right. And going forward, like, well, I'm going forward because you still want the relationship, and I want to keep you happy by keeping this friendship going. So I'm going to do what I can. Like, I don't know. I think both parties would then need to really discuss what the next steps are, and being committed to that next step on both sides. But again, honesty and sincerity comes in that discussion, in that discussion. So you can decide, okay, well, after this I can't trust you anymore, and that's the end of our friendship. Or the other person's like, you know what, give me another chance, I really want this to work, let's try again. But both sides would really have to really be truthful about what they want now moving forward, to be able to go forward from that. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I think that was more like 2 pounds. Because you're British. No, that was good. I think we could go back and forth all night, but well, my night, your day. But I think that's good place to kind of touch off. So, what is your one highlight from our conversation about honesty and how to be a better friend?
I don't know. I think every episode we do is always an opportunity for reflection, and I like reflecting on our friendship, and I like, because I feel like we've definitely come so far, and we've definitely worked on being friends and being intentional and trying to be genuine no matter how much it hurts, and being honest, like, painfully. Um, you know. And building up that trust, that an understanding that we care and love each other enough to know that whatever is being said, even if it might not come across in the most perfect way or the way we might want to hear in that time, it's coming from a genuine place. So yeah, I think reflecting on that has been good.
I would say my highlight is just kind of realizing that there's levels to honesty, or more specifically, how honesty is presented. Like, based on, it's something that I think I had to just learn, and I'm probably going to be relearning, because like I mentioned in the very beginning when we were doing the sauce, like, I'm with my nieces now. My nieces are young, and so being honest with them, but being honest in a way that one doesn't dumb down for them, because they're super smart and super curious, and they know when you're talking down to them, but also doesn't completely go over their heads. And so it's presented in a way that they understand, because we're still getting to know each other. For one of my nieces, I'm literally learning what she's saying because she's 2, and so I'm like, I need to learn your language. But yeah, just learning that there's levels to the honesty and how it's presented. I think that was kind of a good highlight for me. So thank you guys for joining us
Yeah.
on our little conversation.
Yeah. And anything referenced, any articles referenced in this discussion will be shared on our platform. So look out for those. I am a big fan of Psychology Today. I've always read them on my lunch breaks or something. So,
such a nerd.
They're good. No, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so we'll share our links so
Yes,
you can
I'll
have
put
them.
them in the episode summary that you'll find with the podcast. Awesome.
Amazing.
Well,
Thank you for
thank
the
you guys for joining
conversation.
us. Thank you,
Yeah.
Delisa, for this awesome conversation on honesty. Honestly, it was super fun.
Honestly, I think you're tired and you probably need a coffee soon.
And on that note, we'll
Goodbye.
say, well, bye bye, guys.
Bye.